Much of the evidence presented to the tribunal on behalf of the prosecution was documentary evidence captured by the Allied armies in German army headquarters, government buildings, and elsewhere. Some of the documents were found in salt mines, buried in the ground, hidden behind false walls, and in other places thought to be secure from discovery. The case, therefore, against the defendants rests in a large measure on documents of their own making, the authenticity of which has not been challenged except in one or two cases. The Charter provisions. The individual defendants are indicted under Article 6 of the Charter, which is as follows. Article 6. The tribunal established by the agreement referred to in Article 1 hereof for the trial and punishment of the major war criminals of the European Axis countries shall have the power to try and punish persons who, acting in the interests of the European Axis countries, whether as individuals or as members of organizations, committed any of the following crimes. The following acts, or any of them, are crimes within the jurisdiction of the tribunal for which there shall be individual responsibility. Crimes against peace, namely planning, preparation, initiation, or waging of a war of aggression or a war in violation of international treaties, agreements, or assurances, or participation in a common plan or the conspiracy for the accomplishment of the foregoing. B. War crimes, namely violations of the laws or customs of war. Such violations shall include, but not be limited to, murder, ill treatment, or deportation to slave labor, or for any other purpose of civilian population of or in occupied territory, murder of ill treatment of prisoners of war or persons on the seas, killing of hostages, plunder of public or private property, wanton destruction of cities, towns, or villages, or devastation not justified by military necessity. Crimes against humanity, namely murder, extermination, enslavement, deportation, and other inhumane acts committed against any civilian population before or during the war, or persecutions on political, racial, or religious grounds in execution or in connection with any crime within the jurisdiction of the tribunal, whether or not in violation of the domestic law of the country where perpetrated. Leaders, organizers, instigators, and accomplices participating in the formulation or execution of a common plan or conspiracy to commit any of the foregoing crimes are responsible for all acts performed by any persons in execution of such a plan. These provisions are binding upon the tribunal as the law to be applied to the case. The tribunal will later discuss them in more detail, but before doing so, it is necessary to review the facts for the purpose of showing the background of the aggressive war and war crimes charged. In the indictment, the tribunal will begin by reviewing some of the events that followed the First World War, and in particular by tracing the growth of the Nazi Party under Hitler's leadership to a position of supreme power from which is controlled the destiny of the whole German people and paved the way for an alleged commission of the crimes charged against defendants.